everyone, and thank you so much for joining us for this very special broadcast today. I'm catching up with two very good friends of the show, people that have been friends of the show for a very long time now, our wonderful supporters and podcast partners from Precor, Rob Barker, the president of Precor, and Karla Anderson, the senior marketing manager of Americas. Rob and Karla, welcome. It's so lovely to see you both.
Yeah, it's lovely to be this side of the podcast. It's great. So, I always learn a lot from all kinds of podcasts and webinars. So hopefully I can do the same and help a few people around the world with some of the things that we're seeing too.
Well, I definitely think that we will today during our conversation, because we do have a lot of ground to cover. But I thought before we talk about sort of what Precor is doing and how you're working with operators, Rob, I might throw to you to start off with. Perhaps you can give us a little bit of a landscape update, because we have been keeping in touch with all of the viewers and listeners out there over the last 8 to 10 weeks. It's certainly been a challenging period that we've all gone through together. Maybe just bring us up to speed on any news or updates or what's been happening with Precor during this time.
Yeah, maybe I'll take that and comment, not only just from us, but what I see is going on out there and what we're trying to do about it. But firstly, I send from everyone at Precor, I send all of you best wishes. Stay healthy, stay fit and healthy, and look after each other. We're certainly not out of this thing yet, even though we're moving to the next phase. And 1st of June was a big date for a lot of countries and a lot of operators, because that seemed to be a date across the whole world that lots of people were starting to reopen. So we're in the next phase, that's for sure. So I would say, just really briefly, all of us at Precor, have come together. But even beyond that, I think everyone in the industry has come together, and that's been something I've really liked to see. In many ways, you say, well, why couldn't we have done this on other subjects earlier? So the whole way of us connecting on things like this, and the way in which we're trying to help each other, I think it's a really positive force that I want to keep going. But specifically, I think everyone knows we've gone from dealing with a crisis that was put upon us that none of us wanted. There was a lot of uncertainty and fear. And that phase, now we're coming towards the end of that phase, where there's been a lot of fear, on a personal level, on a company level, all kinds of stuff. And that's within Precor, but also our customers. What we tried to do is really, we looked after our people. I think nearly every organization is doing this, but we really said, right, our people first, really protect them. Our customers, really protect and look after, tell us what you need. Our cash, of course, that's the fuel that we put in the tank of Precor. So we have to look after our cash and look how we're operating, and then also start thinking about Precor reimagined. Is there any changes that are going to be permanent? So phase one is almost over, and we're moving into phase two now, which is the fear levels are much lower, but the uncertainty is still there. I wouldn't say that uncertainty has gone away. No, you get a few operators who opened recently saying, yeah, my membership cancellations are up, but my new joining fees or new members joining are going well. I'm feeling a bit better than I did a week ago. But I tell you, a week's not long. So generally speaking, there's a lot of optimism, but still I think it would be healthy for us to acknowledge the fact that we're still in uncertain times. And so that's where we are right now. But each week feels like a month. That's for sure. But I'm really pleased. The underlying thing that we're seeing is so many members want to come back. There's lots of surveys been done, and it's between 80 and 90% of people want to come back and just get on with it. And not every industry gets that. So we're very fortunate, even though it's tough right now, but we're very fortunate to have that tailwind behind us. And so that is going to see us right if we can just keep doing the right thing.
Yeah, I completely agree, Robin. I think it's interesting because over the last 12 weeks, I've been having conversations with people right across the industry, including a number of operators. And I agree with what you're saying. I feel as though, that kind of optimism is definitely starting to lift. And there is quite a good feeling in the air. And certainly from all early indications, there is some positive feedback in relation to the number of members that are coming back and joining, as you say. Karla, how about just from your perspective now, because I know that you're also very close with operators and with what's happening on the ground out there. Give us a bit of an update from your perspective. What are you seeing?
Yes, it's actually really interesting that you mention how people are returning to facilities. And we've seen a lot of that in our regions where the states have gone through the reopening process. And we were on a call earlier this week with our Southeast team, and they were saying, week one of reopening, there was 20% of members coming back, and now they're in week 3 and they're at 70% of their members coming back. And not just coming back, but also signing up a lot of new members as well. And so as we, sit in Seattle in our homes, just being able to go around and hear the positive feedback that you're hearing at the ground level in each different area certainly gives us a lot of optimism that exercisers really do want to be in that space and they want to come back, and we're hopeful that we can continue to help them and help our operators, give them the best place that they can be in. So
you've got your committed type of person who's desperate to get back to what is an essential part of their life, working out, whether, even at home or in the gym. And then you've got the quite large section of people who maybe used to be members and let that lapse. Now, if you think about that type of person versus, I think the first few weeks, it's all about dealing with your committeds. Oh, wow. I've seen photos of McFit in Germany where they opened at 6:30. There were 200 people standing in line outside one club waiting to get in at 6:30. But of course, I think the biggest benefit we could get is there's probably double that number who maybe have had lapsed memberships and are thinking, wow, this COVID thing's really hit people who don't keep in shape. I better start going back to the club. So, it'll be very interesting. Karla's really on the numbers when it comes to each week. And we at Precor, we can monitor this through our Preva system, which is our network fitness system. We were getting 800,000 workouts a day, as an example, through that system. So actually, we've got the metrics to be able to track this every day around the world. Each week, it's going up an enormous percentage. So it'd be very interesting where it goes.
Yeah, it must be fascinating being able to see those type of insights. And Rob, you just mentioned kind of the ways in which people are exercising. There's some variations in that, and we're going to continue to see some changes in, the habits that they form as they restart their exercise routine. Tell me, Karla, perhaps from your perspective, how are Precor working with club operators to really evolve with these changing times, to make sure that you are working with them in conjunction to be able to deliver to our members the best possible exercise experience given those changes?
Yeah, everyone's asking themselves that right now. And I believe personally that this COVID-19 kind of pressure that's come has only really accelerated trends that are out there already. I don't see any new trends, completely new. What I see is a rapid acceleration of things that were already there. So the more progressive operators, they've been saying we must get outside the 4 walls of the facility, because if someone only comes to my facility on average 1.6 times a week, and I want them to see value every day from me, I need to connect with them outside the 4 walls, like probably through their smartphone, and doing some content and support and guidance and community. A lot of people have been talking a good game and not following through on that for years. Others have been doing a great job on that. So what we're going to now see is, that's going to get accelerated as a thing that was already there. And equally from the other side, you think the consumers, they're now not going to say, well, I'm a member of a club and it's a facility that I just go to 1.6 times a week. They're going to be, hold on a minute, I'm paying you $35 a month or whatever it is, and I expect you to look after me. Where's the content? I get it free on YouTube. So if you think what's just happened, whether we like it or not, all of our old habits in fitness got broken, like literally chopped on one day when the club shut. And so our old habits are gone. We've learned some new habits, working out at home, is a big obvious one. Virtual fitness is huge, getting more comfortable with virtual fitness and coaching virtually. And then now we have to recreate our old habits, or recreate habits even. So these new ones that get created, absolutely, it's going to be a more combination of virtual fitness. It's a huge subject that I could spend a lot of time on, but one of my jobs I'm lucky I'm on the board of Advagym Sports, who own Precor, and that's a $3 billion sporting goods company. And I sit in meetings of my president colleagues who run the other brands like Arc'teryx and Wilson and Salmon. They for years have said their customers, who were the stores, that sold products, they were bricks and mortar. And now the only successful ones, there aren't bricks and mortar anymore. The only successful model for them is to be e-tail and retail together. And anyone that just stayed bricks and mortar is gone. They went bust. So I think it's actually the time for fitness operators to do that. The phrase is omni-channel. And so what we have to do is the operators that are going to be successful have to be omni-channel, so which is selling their services through many channels. And we as a vendor, we have to give them the toolbox. We've always been wanting to give people the toolbox to be successful. So we have to put a few things in our kind of portfolio to give them more tools. And a good example is we have a partnership with Sony, a product called Advagym, which the cool thing about that is you can retrofit it on any Precor, but actually even our competition's equipment. And you can fit it on old equipment, and it all connects to the smartphones. So suddenly, for probably no more than about $5,000 to $10,000 a club, you can suddenly digitize everything and really get this thing going, rather than wait 3 years until you replace all your cardio.
That's phenomenal, Robin. And you're so right. I mean, we have heard so many stories about this entire situation really pushing people forward into the future and embracing some of that technology that maybe they knew was available but hadn't quite gotten around to using it. So, Karla, just over to you to add on to what Rob's just talked about, because I want to use the word that you use, Rob, which is Precor reimagined. I love that terminology that you used earlier today. Is there anything extra that you would comment on or add to what Rob was just telling us about?
Yeah, just to kind of further echo, and also just to give your listeners a place to just do their own research. We recently launched Precor.com /stay connected, which is a great resource of landing page of all of what Sony Advagym capabilities allows. But the benefit is originally with our partnership with Sony Advagym, there's so many ways to go, and we were launching it, as Rob mentioned, with getting it on the hardware of facilities. And now quickly they have been able to further innovate, and it can be both in the facility and utilized outside of the facility as well, to keep connection with members wherever they are and kind of meet them where their needs are. So it's a transformational platform at this point, because it's really embracing how the change of the fitness industry is beginning to look. So I would definitely encourage everyone to take a look at that. And of course, pending there's interest, there's all kinds of ways to get connected with the right salesperson to have further conversations. But we have our master coach and head of education, Erica Tillinghast, gives a really great update of what that looks like. And she's kind of single-handedly created a lot of content utilizing what you would use at home right now, so that even our internal employees have been getting a great opportunity to test the tool and utilize these workouts at home too. So Precor.com /stay connected gives you lots of great insight into that new platform Rob was mentioning.
That sounds fantastic. And before we kind of wrap up today, Karla, quick question for you. Have you had any case studies, or can you share any stories with us about clubs that have reopened? And I know everyone across the world's in a very different timeline at the moment, but any specific stories that you'd like to share with us for anyone that has reopened and really embraced this new sort of way that we're exercising and utilize Precor, of course, as part of that?
Yes, specific stories. I think the biggest thing, and we can also send you this, Cooper Fitness Institute recently reopened, and they are one of our great partners. And it was interesting to see feedback from their master coach as well. They also, I should back up, they specialize a little bit in kind of the senior center, and they're still seeing that older demographic coming back to fitness, right? And so it goes back to that encouragement that people who want to live healthy lives are finding the way to do that. But they have reconfigured their entire space so that, temporarily they can accommodating people. And it's been amazing to see the images of how they've kind of flipped a basketball court and people are in there still being able to work out. So their membership is a little bit unique, but very promising in the fact that they're seeing not just the young people, but also older demographics kind of coming back in and feeling safe and healthy to do that.
That's such a perfect example, Karla. Thank you so much. Rob, is there anything that you'd like to add to that?
Yeah, I speak to a lot of CEOs regularly, and I can tell you some nice tips. So where possible, some operators have put perspex screens between the cardio, and of course, most of the industry took a big deep breath and went, oh, "No way!" People aren't going to like that. And Colin Grant, who's a great CEO of a chain out of Asia, he was a bit skeptical himself, but he said, look, we're just going to go for this. And he's got 85% of his members absolutely like it. And he said the other 15% are in two camps, and that some of them will probably learn to like it and some of them maybe won't like it. But he said overall it's a massive win. In fact, he's got some members saying, can you leave them up? So because I kind of like the privacy. And it looks nice, the way they did it. I think it was about $100 a unit kind of thing, and it worked great. So there was that. So that's very successful. People like Colin, they're also broadcasting their personal trainers and some of the Group X now through Facebook Live and Instagram, and charging for it. So I like the idea that operators can start monetizing some of this omni-channel, as I call it, approach. And if you can get $4 or $5 for a class, then that would be great. Just think of the money that you can make doing that. So, and then other operators, we have something, Karla, you should probably mention the Bounce Back Faster operators guide that we have. We should put a link to it in this, because we went out and, cleanliness, layout, what to do with Group X, member communication, how to knock out every other piece of cardio. If you're not going to put the screens, how to knock out that. And even on some of our touch screens, you have some nice messaging around protocols. It's all in something called the Bounce Back Faster Operators Guide. So I suggest people kind of download that and have a read of that. It's got some great work in it.
That sounds perfect, because I know that there are a lot of operators out there that are seeking clarification and guidance and suggestions on how to make this work. And it's interesting you bring up the screens, Rob, because I've seen a couple of photos floating around of those, so I know exactly what you're talking about. Karla, did you want to add anything in regards to that Bounce Back Faster?
Absolutely. It was our attempt. As you know, there's just so many different places to find all of the right information, and it can feel very overwhelming. So we, as trying to be partners of good choice with all of our owners and operators, really tried to simplify, aggregate all of the industry research and information that we were hearing, so that there really was this comprehensive, I feel comfortable and confident, because I trust Precor to be able to utilize this guide for how I will look to reopen a facility. So we can definitely share that. It's got all kinds of great content, tidbits and tricks in there to make it as easy as possible to reopen.
That'd be great. Thank you. So what we're going to do is get the links that we have spoken about. We're going to pop them right here below our video for today. So any final messages from either of you before we finish off today's interview? Rob, over to you.
I just wish you all well. I've always been proud to work in the industry. You're doing great things for many people. Keep doing what you're doing, and let's all work together and let's share information, and things will be good. We just have to get through this next phase. Now, if we can execute on this reopening phase really well, we'll be fine. We have to focus on that now.
Absolutely. As you say, we need to work together. And Karla, any final words from you for today?
That was very well said. I echo completely. It's been an interesting time, and I do feel lots of positivity and hope that it's an industry worth continuing and striving to come together and reimagine. So we're excited to partner with you guys continuing, and all of our owners and operators to help them along the way as well.
Well, look, I just want to thank you both so much, not only for your ongoing support of the Fitness Business Podcast, and as you say, Rob, we are all in this together. This is about finding those ways that we can work with operators right across the world to make sure that we do get our industry back up and operating and successful and positive once again. So thank you so much to you both and to all of Precor for your ongoing support. And thank you for the resources that you're providing the industry right now. I think that Bounce Back Faster initiative is just fantastic, one that many people will make the most of. So as I said earlier, we will put both of those links in today's video. We'll also put contact details so that if anyone wants to have a chat to the team at Precor, they can get in touch, have a chat further about how you guys can work with them on reopening and helping them out with opening the doors once again. So Rob and Karla, thank you so much. It was such a pleasure to catch up with you both. So thank you for joining me today.
It's a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.